So our last lecture, we talked about acoelomate organisms. So these are animals that are triploblastic. They have three germ layers, but they don't have any body cavity. Okay, so that's the platyhelminthes. One of the reasons they're on their own branch of the phylogeny is because they are triploblastic, no body cavity. So moving on to animals that are pseudocoelomate. So again, just a reminder, pseudocoelom is a fluid-filled body cavity that's not completely lined with mesoderm derivatives. It's things like muscle and connective tissue. Okay, two main characteristics of the pseudocoelomates. One is we now see a complete digestive tract. Okay, in earlier animals, the digestive cavity or digestive tract was a gastrovascular cavity with one opening. So food went into the mouth, was digested down, and then solid waste came back out through the mouth as well. So the opening served as the mouth and the anus. Okay, in the pseudocoelomates, we see complete digestive cavity, complete digestive tract. Food goes in the mouth, goes through the digestive tract, gets broken down, extract nutrients, solid waste is eliminated through an anus. So it only goes through one way. Okay, second, we see a blood vascular system. Okay, because the flatworms were relatively flat, we had cells were able to get gases, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out, just through simple diffusion. But now what we see is more of a three-dimensional, more thickness to the animal. So there are many, many cell layers thick instead of being somewhere between 15 and 20. Okay, so this poses a problem for getting gases to all of your cells. Okay, so we see a development of this blood vascular system. So in that pseudocoelom, okay, so between these two layers of tissues, you may have 200, 300, 400 cells. Okay, diffusion will handle the first couple out here, first couple on the inside, but then these layers of cells can't easily get gases through diffusion. So you need some kind of structure to transport those gases around, and that's what the blood vascular system does. It gets gases to layers of cells in the tissues that can't obtain them just through diffusion. Okay, kind of as a side note, what we also see now with these expansion of animal bodies into multiple cell layers thick is we start to see structures forming, organs forming that have specified functions. And one thing that allows that to happen is the presence of this body cavity, because things can grow into that cavity. Okay, the two phyla we are going to look at are the Rotifera, which are the rotifers, and then the Nematoda, which are the roundworms. Okay, for these phyla, there are no classes that I want you to know. We're just going to know the phyla. So we'll start with the rotifers. Okay, the phylum Rotifera. The rotifers are aquatic, which means saltwater, freshwater. Okay, their body design, as we said, they have a pseudocoelom. It's a unique characteristic of them. They also have two crowns of cilia that are up on the head region. Okay, and we'll see that in the picture shortly. But those cilia, again, synchronously beating microtubules, so they're all kind of moving in the same direction, and they'll rotate like this. And when they do that, they create a vortex which draws food into the mouth. Okay, so here are the crowns of cilia. They call it the corona. Okay, so when those cilia are beating, it actually draws food into the mouth. And as we described before, you've got the digestive tract here. Food comes into the mouth, gets digested, nutrients absorbed, solid waste gets removed, eliminated through the anus. Okay, the rotifers can produce either sexually or asexually. With asexual reproduction, it's a unique type of asexual reproduction that's called parthenogenesis. Okay, the literal translation is virgin birth. And in parthenogenesis, females are producing female offspring from an unfertilized egg. Okay, so how is that happening? Okay, in the normal sexually reproducing life cycle, one of the types of cell division that's important for producing gametes was meiosis. Okay, so if you remember in meiosis, you're starting with that diploid 2N primordial germ cell, which is going to go through 2-cell divisions to form 4 gametes that are haploid. So meiosis, start with a diploid germ cell, end up with 4 haploid gametes. Okay, in parthenogenesis, that primordial germ cell, which is diploid, rather than go through meiosis, it starts to divide through mitosis. And it actually goes through cleavage. So that diploid cell you're starting with will divide into 2, then to 4, then to 8, form the morula, the blastula, the gastrula, and so on. So you can get offspring forming through parthenogenesis. You don't need the 2 gametes to come together to form the zygote. The reason that their offspring are all female is because the mother, the parent, is female as well. And since this is just cleavage of one of the parent cells, the offspring are all going to be female. Okay, so light microscope picture of a rotifer. Again, these are the 2 crowns of cilia up here, which will draw food into the mouth. Okay, the phylum Nematoda, those are the roundworms. Okay, we're going to kind of make distinction as we move along between flatworm, roundworm, and segmented worm. Okay, so there's 3 groups of worms that we're going to talk about. Okay, with the roundworms, they're mostly freshwater. You can find them terrestrial. There are a few aquatic or marine species, but most of them are freshwater. Nutritionally, they can be split into 2 groups: free-living detritivores or parasites. The free-living detritivore is feeding on detritus, and detritus is just dead, decaying organic matter. So a lot of the leaf litter that you see in the forest, if you go to the layer where the leaves are in contact with the ground, so if you brush up some of the leaves and you look at what's going on right at that junction between dirt and the decaying leaves, you'll see a lot of these detritivores. So things like millipedes and pillbugs. You'll find the nematodes there as well, earthworms you may find there. Okay, they're all eating that dead, decaying organic matter, and that's what a detritivore does. Okay, the other group are parasites, things like pinworms, hookworms, trichinella, which is pegworm, also fall under the category of nematodes, roundworms. Okay, this is a diagram of the body of a roundworm. Okay, so again, you see no bands or anything on it. It basically has a mouth and an anus, so one-way digestive tract. And within here, even though it's not on the picture, is that blood vascular system. Okay, this is Ascaris, also called pigworm. Okay, these 2 worms here, this is one worm, this is another worm. These are male and female. And the way that you can tell the difference between a male and female pigworm is this part here. Okay, so on the male, at the posterior end, okay, again, where's that? Posterior is down by the tail end. Okay, and the posterior end is a little hook. It looks like a crochet hook. Okay, that's used, so that little hook is used to clasp onto the female for reproduction. So you can look at these guys and tell, this is the female, this is the male. Okay, this is a stomach, probably from a pig that's infested with the pigworm. Okay, body design, as we mentioned earlier, they're pseudocoelomate. Okay, they do have a cuticle, which is an outer keratinous, keratin-like layer over the epidermis that serves for protection. And one of the unique things about nematodes is they only have longitudinal muscle. So the muscle in the body cavity only runs up and down. It doesn't run in rings, it just runs in one direction. And because of that, it dictates the way the worms can move. Okay, so if the muscle fibers are running parallel to my hands, and I contract these muscles over here, it's going to cause the body to flip this way. And these on this side are relaxed. And if I reverse it and contract these muscles and relax the other ones, it's going to flip this way. So the way that the nematodes move is they thrash back and forth like this. And the reason they do that is they only have longitudinal muscle. Okay, reproduction is sexual, so there are male and female nematodes. Okay, this is a scanning electron micrograph of a nematode, and these long ridges that run this way, those are the longitudinal muscle. Okay, so as they contract, it's going to cause it to thrash back and forth. Okay, electron micrograph of a nematode. This is a vinegar eel.